So I'm Karen, and I work with BlockCypher, and I'm working on a number of interesting things because we're a company that supports thousands of developers and companies who are building their own applications. So you can think of us as AWS for blockchain specifically. So I help energy companies, financial companies, healthcare companies create new blockchain applications, and they use our software to create these new applications. So the successes that we've seen, and there are quite a few because it's a long journey in this blockchain world. It's like dog years, everyone says. So the successes include being able to get beyond, the seed funding stage, get a product to market, and then grow that market. And that's been a challenge because BlockCypher's been around for almost 5 years now. So we started at the end of 2013, beginning of 2014, when people were still saying, "Block who? What are you talking about? And why would anybody need a blockchain?" And so it started off from there to the hype of, we don't need a public blockchain, we need a permission blockchain. And then it went to the hype of ICOs and cryptocurrencies and all the ups and downs of that, to where we are now. So there's been a lot of hype. And so the challenges have been getting above the noise, which I think is one of our successes. And so we've been able to survive and thrive. We've been able to grow our customer base to over 20,000 companies and developers, and 6 continents around the world in many different countries. And it's been a pleasure and just a whole ton of fun working with all these different companies. And the other success that I think is just being able to see the market grow and evolve and help our APIs, develop APIs further, so that they can meet the market expectations and needs at that given time. So for example, in the early days when Bitcoin was the only one, we had one API that everyone used, which was called the confidence factor. Since then, and the confidence factor was basically used to say, if you wanted to buy a cup of coffee, you didn't have to wait 10 minutes for that transaction to confirm. You could say, all right, I have a confidence that, and this was the score that we provide, I have the confidence that this transaction will get confirmed. And it has a 99% confidence rate. And so a lot of companies use that to just greatly improve the customer experience so that people didn't have to wait for their purchases to complete. You now take that forward to now, where the confidence factor is still used for Bitcoin, but there's so many more coins out there. And BlockCypher has year over year added coin support for a new coin pretty much every year. And this is a major coin. So we support Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dash, and other cryptocurrencies and other household names. Yes. Yes, exactly. And we also support a permissioned chain model. So if you wanted to start up your own, Joe's permissioned chain or Jane's permissioned chain, you could do so. And that has been very useful for a lot of companies to test, to iterate, and create really successful production-ready applications. So the first challenge was rising above the noise, rising above the fray, that's out there. It's, as with any very hyped up technology, there's just a lot of competition. So the good thing is we were able to rely on the strength of our technology, and the usefulness really that it brought to the developers. Now, what that means is with our APIs and our infrastructure, you could cut down your time to market by 6 months or more. It also meant that you could cut your development costs by 30 to 50%. And that's because you no longer had to hire DevOps, project managers, developers, everybody who needs to maintain this blockchain infrastructure. You could just outsource that to BlockCypher, and then you focus on the application your customers, and your business. So that was the first challenge, and then being able to get beyond that was very important. The second challenge is, yes, there's the changing landscape always of regulation, and how, especially with payments being such a big use case in the blockchain area, and also cryptocurrencies, right? How do you deal with that regulation, and how you deal with those changes? So we have worked and we've collaborated with a number of groups. And so these groups or these associations bring together the regulators, law enforcement, industry, and we make sure, in these consortiums that we are talking about, together, solutions to common problems that we have, right? So, for example, earlier this week, I was talking to this group about a problem we were facing, and that is, yes, there are thefts and there are crimes on the blockchains, not as much as people think. And if you listen to people like Katie Hahn, I think it is, from Andreessen Horowitz, she has talked a lot. She's prosecuted, these cases, and she says that the crime that is committed on these blockchains is actually a lot less than, and the anti-money laundering that's perceived to occur on blockchains is a lot less than it is with fiat currencies. And that's because it's still a lot easier to take a dollar, take a piece of paper, and use it somewhere in an illicit transaction, as opposed to doing it digitally. Because when you do it digitally, you have a trail. And that's something that we've been working on recently with law enforcement. We've been helping individuals who have had their funds stolen for whatever reason, and we've been able to track the movement of those funds to the individuals who could be the thieves. And so so that's the good thing, right? The challenging thing is, as you can imagine, most of these thefts and most of these crimes can occur cross-border. So how do you get local authorities in other countries to work with, say, our local authorities? So that's been a challenge. And that's one that we posed to this consortium and this group. And I think it's something that we still need to address is there are some challenges, some issues that go across jurisdictions that, the digital world has been able to address, right? Because there's no borders in the digital world, but there's still borders in terms of countries and laws. So I agree that has been a challenge. The good thing is that we keep in touch with these consortium. We keep in touch with all the regulators, FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, different governments around the world. We worked with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, for example, and other other government bodies around the world to educate, to understand, and really to work together on new solutions to these really new problems that we have.